Today we're going to be taking a look at a 2023 Toyota Corolla Hatchback SE. Let's get started. The Corolla Hatchback got a few updates for the 2023 model year, and in this video we're going to be going over some of those changes while also doing a full overview of this car. Under the hood, we have a 2-liter 4-cylinder engine that makes 169 horsepower, and the only option for transmission is going to be the CVT. This year, Toyota dropped the 6-speed manual from the Corolla Hatchback, and it's only available on the GR Corolla now. For gas mileage, the EPA rating is 35 miles per gallon, which will be 32 in the city and 41 on the highway. The SE hatchback starts at $23,005. This one here came with the floor mats, and after its destination fee, the MSRP is $24,389. In this overview, we're going to go over the exterior, and then we're going to jump inside and talk about some of the features. So starting here from the outside, the first thing that really pops out at you is going to be this color. This is one of the 2 new colors that Toyota introduced for the Corolla Hatchback this year. This is the Inferno color, and the other new color that they have for the hatchbacks this year is Blue Crush Metallic. Starting in the front, the Corolla hatchbacks have automatic LED headlights with LED daytime running lights, and that's something that's going to be standard on all of the models. This year, the front grille got a slight redesign, so it looks a little bit more sportier and aggressive now. And at the very bottom of this grille, we can see little cutouts for fog lights, but this model doesn't actually have any fog lights. Toyota updated the safety software on the hatchbacks this year to TSS 3.0, so we have the camera mounted on top of the windshield, and there's also going to be a millimeter wave radar, which is built in behind the Toyota emblem. Safety Sense 3.0 has the same 6 features as we've had in previous versions of Toyota Safety Sense, however they're slightly improved this time. Moving on to wheels and tires, we have these 16-inch alloy wheels, and the tire size is 205/55 R16. Taking a look at our side mirrors, there is a turn signal indicator built into the side, but there is no standard blind spot monitors. If you do want the blind spot monitors on your SE hatchback, there is a $530 package called the SE Premium Package, and it not only gives you the blind spot monitors, but also a sunroof at the top. The Corolla hatchbacks have a standard smart key system with push button start, and what that also means for the door handles is that we do have keyless entry, so we can tap right here to lock the Corolla hatchback, and if we want to unlock it, just place your hand behind the handle. Surrounding the windows is a lot of black plastic, and then moving further on back, we have our fuel door over here behind the rear driver's side door. And to open this up, you'll have to go inside the cabin, but the Corolla hatchback takes 13.2 gallons of regular 87 octane gas, and at 35 miles per gallon, you should expect to get roughly 462 miles per each fill up. Moving up, there's a color-matched shark fin antenna at the very top, and it sort of leads into this very small spoiler that covers a little bit of the rear glass. Taking a look at the rear of the Corolla hatchback now, we can start by taking a look at these taillights, which look a lot like the GR86 taillights. If you guys have seen those, you'll probably know what I'm talking about, but this part right here that's not actually attached to the trunk looks a lot like those GR86 taillights. We also have a rear wiper back over here, our Toyota emblem, which does have the reverse camera right underneath it. There's also some badging here that says Corolla and a red badge that says SE. Then at the bottom of the bumper, there are some reflectors, a good bit of gloss black back here, as well as our tow hook cover. The SE hatchback has one very small single exhaust tip hanging out from the passenger side. There's no button on the key to open the hatch, so instead we're just going to have to use the old school way, which is going to be to just lift up right here, and it'll open the rest of the way. Taking a look at the trunk, we can see that this one here did come with the rubber floor mats and the rubber cargo mat, and underneath this floorboard over here we can see the spare tire and some tools. Now there is an option in certain areas where you don't have to get this spare tire, so certain Corolla hatchbacks will come equipped without a spare tire at all, and what will happen is they'll drop the floorboard, giving you some more cargo space. In the hatchbacks, you're also going to get this little privacy cover right here, which is hung on by these little strings connecting it to the hatch. And this way, when you have your items loaded in, nobody can see what you have inside once we close up this hatch. The rear seats can also be folded down very easily. It's a 60-40 split if you ever need to fit some larger items into the cargo area. Next up, we're going to jump into the interior and talk about some of the features, but as usual, we're going to start off with the door panel. And the door panel is made up of some soft touch plastics, hard touch plastics, and a little bit of leather padding over here as an armrest. There is going to be spaces for 2 water bottles, and we have one of our 6 interior speakers. There's auto up-down windows on all 4 corners, a window lock button, lock and unlock for the whole car, our mirror controls, and a silver door handle. Taking a look at the seats, we have Toyota's black fabric seats over here, and they also have some white stitching going around them. This is one of the 2 interior color options for the Corolla Hatchback SE. The other is going to be the moonstone fabric. There are also going to be no power seats on either the driver or the passenger side. All controls are going to be manually adjusted. And before we fully get in, we have a couple of buttons and releases down here at the bottom. So starting at the very bottom here on the floor, where we have our release for the fuel door, we have our release for the hood just slightly up here on the dash. And then there's also going to be a brightness control for the center gauges, as well as an automatic high beams button. Sitting inside of the Corolla hatchback now, the leather wrapped steering wheel is going to be standard on all of the models. We have our airbag and horn in the center and plenty of steering wheel controls. So on the left side over here, we can control the 4-inch screen that we have between our two gauges. We have audio and multimedia controls at the bottom row, and some of our safety sense functions right here on the right side. The hatchbacks have standard paddle shifters. We can see we have automatic headlights over here on the left side and our wiper controls on the right side. And also behind the steering wheel is going to be our standard push button start. The gauges are very standard and easy to read, so we have our tachometer on the left, speedometer on the right, and that 4-inch screen in the center, which we can control using the buttons on the steering wheel over here to see different information. The gauges are surrounded by this silver trim piece, which also goes around the air vents for the driver and the passenger side, and it's also behind the screen running across the entire dash. The center screen also got updated this year, so it's the same size as last year, being at 8 inches, and it's still a touchscreen, but we have new software now, which allows for wireless Apple CarPlay and wireless Android Auto, as opposed to being wired how it was in previous years. They also got rid of some of the shortcut buttons around the screen, but we still have a volume knob. There's 2 center air vents just underneath the screen, and we also have a button to turn on our emergency lights. Just under that, we have the HVAC controls, and this is a single zone climate control, so we have one temperature for the whole cabin. Right underneath that is a little storage area right here where you can place your phone or other small objects, and right off to the side is a USB Type-C port. Moving on to the shifter, this is a CVT transmission. We have park, reverse, neutral, drive, and you can also simulate the shifting of gears using manual mode. Over here we also have a drive mode, so we can switch between sport, normal, and eco mode, as well as a button to turn off traction control. Moving along, we have 2 cup holders over here, a brake hold button, and our electronic parking brake. The center console is very small, but it does have another USB Type-C port and a 12-volt power outlet in there, and a nice bonus is that this center console is also leather padded. Jumping into the passenger side, the door panel is going to be almost identical to what we saw on the driver's side, and again, we have no power seats for either the driver or the passenger. If you're sitting in the passenger seat in the Corolla hatchback, you do have this white stitching right here that goes across the dash in this diagonal pattern to add for a little bit of style, but there is going to be no storage shelf here for the passenger. Down below here, there is a glove box, which is a pretty average size and has some of the paperwork for the car. Moving up from the center, we have our rear view mirror, which is not auto dimming, so you're going to have to dim it yourself like this. Then further up top, we have some light controls over here, as well as an emergency SOS button. And this one here does not have the sunroof because it doesn't have that SE premium package for $530. That'll give you that sunroof and those blind spot monitors. Next up, let's take a look at the rear seats, and starting with the door panels. What's really cool is that there is a cup holder on the driver and passenger side door panels. Stepping into the second row, we have some pockets behind the driver and the passenger side. There's going to be 2 USB-C ports over here as well for the rear seat passengers. There are also some child seat latch points on both of the driver and passenger seat. Not for the center seat, but if you're not using that center seat, you can also fold down this middle area for 2 extra cup holders or an armrest. There's no air vents behind the center console over here, but there are 2 air ducts underneath the driver and passenger chairs that let some airflow pass into the rear. And lastly, the seats can be folded down super easily. All you have to do is pull right over here and push forward, and just like that, you have access to the rear and your second row seats folded down. That's going to do it for this week's overview of the 2023 Toyota Corolla Hatchback SE. If you guys enjoyed the video, please give it a like and consider subscribing to the channel, and we'll see you all next week.